Hello and welcome to your June 26th daily briefing. Today we're going to discuss some shocking IRS statistics, the second stimulus check, and some more stories of paycheck protection fraud. And before I get into it, please consider subscribing if you haven't already. It would mean the world to me. It helps spread my videos out to a wider audience, and you'll receive factual content on a daily basis. All right, let's get into it. For the first piece of news, we knew that some deceased people have been sent stimulus checks. It was in the news in the past. We've all heard about it, but we didn't know exactly how many. But now the numbers are out. The Treasury Department has reportedly sent out nearly 1.1 million stimulus checks, totaling $1.4 billion, with a B, billion dollars, to deceased people. Wow. So why did this even happen? Well, it appears that the IRS was operating under the interpretation to send stimulus checks to anyone and everyone who filed either a 2019 or 2018 tax return without any regard to death certificates. This is because IRS lawyers determined that the IRS didn't have legal authority to deny payment to anyone who filed a tax return in those years, including dead people. Why they weren't able just to get some confirmation before these were sent out, confirm it with the Treasury, I'm not really sure. I know that a major problem with this whole stimulus check program was speed and trying to get out payments as quickly as possible. But you think they'd be like, hey, you guys want us to send these payments and, just send out $1 billion to people who are no longer living? Or anyways, eventually the Treasury caught wind of what was happening and that all these payments were being sent to deceased people and logically told the IRS to stop mailing them to, graveyards and crematoriums. I'm just kidding. But from this point on, the IRS then went ahead and updated their fact page to state that if you received a stimulus check for a deceased person, you should return it. However, it's been stated that they didn't plan to do any further notifying to make sure people return payments who receive payments on behalf of deceased people. What this sounds like to me is the IRS was like, yeah, we'll do our diligence and post a notice on our website, but we're not going to chase down people for these payments for deceased people. The Government Accountability Office, on the other hand, has recommended the IRS notify people directly if they need to return payments. However, nothing has been done yet. In order to do this, the Treasury Department and the Bureau of Fiscal Services would need access to death records, which they do not currently have. So all that being said, if you are the beneficiary of a deceased person who has been sent a stimulus check, you are supposed to return it, but you may well be never notified to do so. And if you're not notified to do so, it's hard to say that you need to return it. So anyways, in second stimulus check news, moving on, I won't dwell on this too long because we're hearing a lot of the same comments made from different people over and over again, and I hate when my videos get repetitive or really even have to say the same thing twice. It's boring for me. It's probably not as bad to listen to, but I want to keep it new. The popular comment this week has been that the stimulus check should be more narrowly targeted, and this has now been backed by economists who feel a blanket payment is too sloppy and increased unemployment may be the best way to provide relief to those who are most in need. That's really the gist of the news in the last day on this. In another piece of IRS news, you may be receiving a larger tax refund this year. The IRS has issued a statement saying if you receive your tax refund on any day after April 15th, you will receive interest on your refund. This is even despite the tax deadline being pushed to July 15th. So this creates some interesting situations. For example, let's say you complete your filing on the last day of the extended deadline, July 15th, and you receive your refund on August 10th. You will still receive interest on your refund for all of the 117 days between April 15th and August 10th, even though you didn't file until July 15th. And this works for any day you receive your refund. You will receive interest for every day back to April 15th. The interest rate for the second quarter ending on June 30th, 2020 is 5% per year, compounded daily. So working out an example for this, let's say your refund is $1,000 and the IRS pays you 90 days after the 15th of April. Just to keep it relatively simple, you will actually receive not just $1,000, but a whopping $1,012.58. But of course, before you go off spending your interest to buy a new luxury boat or mansion, remember any interest you earn off of this will be considered taxable income. So you're gonna have to pay taxes on that $12 and some odd cents. All right, moving on. We haven't talked about this in a while, but there have been more and more people being charged for fraudulently applying and receiving Paycheck Protection loans on either fake businesses or just businesses with exaggerated numbers. And we have another story. A Texas man was arrested and charged with defrauding the Paycheck Protection Program for $3 million just on Tuesday. This entrepreneurial spirited man is being charged with 3 counts of wire fraud, 4 counts of money laundering, and 1 count of making false statements to a bank. So here's how he did it. He submitted fake Paycheck Protection applications to 2 small local lenders for his fake wedding planning business. He claimed that he owned this business, and he claimed that he operated it with 120 employees. My first thought was, wow, that would be one heck of a wedding planning business, 120 employees. So that in itself was suspicious to me. And I was like, I guess, it could be that big if they had like on-staff caterers, photographers, florists, everything else having to do with weddings. So I suppose it's not impossible, but it threw up some red flags right away because I've never heard of a wedding planning business being that big, but I'm sure there are a couple of them. Anyways, he ended up receiving $1.5 million in his bank. He actually received money, so he sent his fake paperwork in. And I talked about this months ago when I was first going through the Paycheck Protection Program paperwork, that I was like, wow, someone could easily submit some fake paperwork here and potentially get some money from the bank. But I have no idea how someone could then prove their expenses and submit them for actual forgiveness. That's a whole nother piece of the puzzle, especially because we didn't know how forgiveness worked back when we could apply for loans. So I don't know how people plan on getting out of this, but anyways, he ended up receiving $1.5 million in which he used to buy a Tesla and make some investments. Maybe he used my link in the description for Webull to get 2 free stocks. Probably not, but made some investments and made some home mortgage payments. So I'm not sure exactly how he planned to get away with this. Kind of seemed like he wanted to get caught. I'm sure there's actually a few people out there who managed to get, a few $100,000 from this program fraudulently and then get away with it. It would have to be for sure under $1 million because I know for anything above $1 million, they're doing an audit of those loans. So there's probably no way to make it work over $1 million, but maybe under. Someone could somehow fudge some paperwork, but it seems nearly impossible. It doesn't seem worth the risk, especially. It's wild. But anyways, they're going to have to do, if you're trying to get away with it, you're going to have to do it a little bit smarter than going and buying a Tesla or a Rolex like that last guy last month. Anyways, that's all I have for today. I'd like to thank you for watching, and I hope you have a profitable day.